I do have a couple of board members that are here, and so I asked them to come up here to the stage and share what it means about being a student leader, so you get that perspective of it. So if you could please come join us at the podium and introduce yourselves.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chavarin, and I am from Tucson, Arizona for Pima Community Adult Education, and I am a board member with VALUE. I guess that in order for me to share with you what is adult leadership, for me, I will have to share a little bit about my story. I came to adult education in 2011, and my goal was to get my GED, get in, get out, go to college. But on the way, I found this beautiful program that it was called the Student Leadership Council. I have always loved helping in my community, and this group was doing some community work, and I joined them. I said, why not? I like to work in the community. While I was in adult education, I realized how important it is adult education in our community. I learned about the way that it changed lives, how it opened doors and makes us go into a new world that for me was unknown until that moment. So my saddest day was when I was in a meeting with the Student Leadership Council, and they said, the government doesn't support us. I said, what? This great program who do such good things for us, and you're telling me that they don't support us? Yes, they don't. And I was like, well, you know what? I want to go there, and I'm going to tell them how good this is and that we need support. Yeah. Then Mireya here, who was a coordinator, and she's still a coordinator for adult education, she said, well, you're going to get the chance to do that, but before that, you need to get prepared to do that. It's not easy to go before elected officials and talk and do these things. So we have a program that is called Ambassadors. And in time, you're going to take the training, and we promise you, you're going to go there. And I said, yes. So for about 3 months, I was always asking, when are we having the training? It's going to happen in November. Then again, are we having the training? When am I taking the training? So it was like that till 1 November. I had the opportunity to take this training, and they prepared me to speak in public. They prepared me to prepare an agenda. They teach me how to address and create a meeting and all these things that we know now to advocate for adult education. So that happened in November. Then in February, I was in the capital of Phoenix, and I was talking to elected officials, and I was with this passion saying, this is good for our community, you need to support this, because this is the opportunity that we need to move people out of poverty to get a better education and a better job. So you need to fund this. Then one day, they came to me and they said, Anna, there is a conference happening in Washington, D.C. that is called VALUEUSA, and we want you to go to that conference. And we are going to present ambassadors training on a national level. And I said, yay, you're going to present. And they said, no, you are going to help us to present. So that day, Mireya and we came to Washington, D.C. Imagine me, Washington, D.C., for the first time, presenting ambassadors, teaching other national leaders to do the same thing that I was doing in my state. And then the next day we went to the Capitol, and we were talking to elected officials, and we were also advocating for the Workforce Investment Act that now they're actualizing it and turning it into something more beautiful. So for me, adult education and VALUE provided me with tools that I didn't know that I had. They helped me to polish the ones that I did have, and open this beautiful door for me to speak up in behalf of something that I believe with all my heart that is the only way to lead people out of poverty, education. It helped me to get involved in other issues in my community. Now I was just sharing with my table that I'm a community organizer. Because, thank you. Because I do believe in education, but at the same time there are other issues to stop our students to get education, when they have to work, when they get sick, when they cannot pay the bus to make it to school. So all these other issues. So for me, in order for a student to succeed in school, we need to remove these other issues to make the life less stressing so he can focus on his goal in getting a GD and then a higher education. So I had these opportunities. So for me, adult education did this with me, gave me this opportunity and the platform to speak up and to reveal my talents and to help others. And I really, really thank you for this opportunity to be here with you and to share a little bit of what adult education and VALUEUSA means to me. Yeah. Thank you.
My name is Mireya, and I don't think I should be here, but I am here. I would prefer that the students who have their really wonderful students will be here. But I need to also talk about myself because I was a former adult education student. I came from Mexico City. I came because I graduated as a secretary, bilingual secretary. But I didn't speak the language, so I said, yeah, I'm gonna go to the States and practice my English and just learn English, and I have been here for 22 years. So it didn't work that way, but I remember that I was living in California, and then we moved to Tucson, and you know, me being a secretary, you know, like high heels, you know, my nice nails and all that stuff, and then I was, you know, cleaning toilets or doing babysitting and all that stuff. So I thought that my life was really bad, you know, because I was working with my hands, not with my you know, my mind, my spirit, my soul. So one day I remember that I was driving the bus and I saw this ad on the bus, and it says adult education. So I called. Good for me was that this person who answered the phone, she had an accent like me. So I felt okay, you know, I felt welcome, you know, because you feel when you don't speak the language, you feel very threatened, you know. So I went there, and back in those days, there was a program called AVTP, Adult Vocational Training Project. And they gave me some computer skills, so I was able to be again in the back on the workforce. So I went to different learning centers. I was doing volunteer work in 3 different learning centers, and I remember my ex-husband saying, "Well, you know, I don't think you're gonna get anything out of it because, you know, you're wasting your time, the tires, the gas," but I kept doing it. And that's why it's very important that people volunteer. So I got my job. I went to this learning center, and the second day they asked me if I was able to have some hours paid with them in adult education. So for me it was wonderful. So from then I started to have 12 hours, and up to 30 hours I became a full-time person with benefits. So it was great for me, you know, and I am also a product of adult education, so I'm very grateful for the program. I became a lab assistant and then a computer lab technician. But one day they asked me, do you want to facilitate the student council? And I said, no way, I am too shy. You know, my broken English, I don't think so. But you know, I have always had good mentors in my life in adult education, always. They always, and I think we have some students here, right? And you feel like, really, you have a love, I had a love, or maybe I have low high-esteem, low self-esteem, sorry, low self-esteem. And when you get to adult education and everything changes, is so wonderful. You know, really is the value of adult education that helped me to integrate in this society is very important. And I have always loved adult education. After that, I took the risk to be a facilitator. So I've been doing this for a few years. And maybe 5 years ago, I became the assistant of this program, the Civics and Student Leadership program. And I think it was meant to be because 20 people applied for my position. People who got degrees, they have the language, they have so many things that I didn't. But I really thank God for that. And it was meant for me to be here. And then we're presenting, we're helping students to develop their leadership skills. And we got to know Value a few years ago. Until recently, maybe less than a year, we started to be part of the board, being a board member. And I think it's very important that teachers help students to develop their leadership skills. I'm just wondering, how many of you have student councils? So I think it's very important that to have student councils because you help students to develop their skills and you prepare them to be part of this civic engagement that we need. And I think that's what we're doing with Value. We are training others to be leaders. And something that I was talking to Elaine yesterday, and she reminded me of something. So value. What is value? That it has something to offer, something to give. And service is very important. But I really want to challenge you that you might start a student council. You don't have to start, you can even start, I was telling somebody, you can even start with, hey, we're gonna have some pizza, come and join us, talk about your issues, your things. Because this is all connected to, in Arizona we call it CCR, College and Career Readiness. That's what we call it over there. So that's what we have. Tomorrow we're gonna have a workshop. We're gonna talk about that. But I'm gonna tell you a little bit. We prepare students, okay, they are students, then they're thinking that they're gonna get their GED or their language skills. But when they get into student council, they don't even think that all the things that they're going to do, they're gonna learn. So sometimes they go to our class, digital story class, but sometimes the second level is ambassadors. And then they go to, from there maybe they could go to the AmeriCorps program. And then from there, I have two wonderful examples here, Matthias and Israel, who they have been part of the AmeriCorps. From there, they are student success coaches, like Israel, and he got his GED, he's going to Pima College, and Israel also, he's taking his GED, he's going to Intercampus Council in Pima College, he has been offered a job. So it's part of it. The students don't see it, but I hope we help them. Thank you.
If you can understand what value is, it's you. The work that you do back in your own program is value. But the organization of value is the connecting rod. Because you have student leaders there in other states. Instead of working in a vacuum and reinventing the wheel, value, the natural, is a connecting rod. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. If you are a student leader and you want to get involved, well, how do you do it? There's no one in the field collecting this information. Only value is that connecting rod. So we help programs all the time say, well, we want student involvement, but they don't know how. Well, guess what? What do you want to do? Well, guess what? This program over there has already been doing it for years. We'll connect you to them. So just when you think about value, it's you and the work that you're doing in your area, but you're not alone. There's others doing it in other areas. So reach out, and value will then connect you with others that will help you to do that work. And that's what value is. It's strength in numbers, it's strength in supporting each other. So that's, you can take that away of who and what value is. And so now I'm going to ask Elaine and Patsy to come up to the podium and present the next piece of this.
The reason why Marty asked me if I would do this is the leadership, Student Leadership Award is named after Susan Green. Now you would think as a student organization with student leadership that our award would be named after a student. But Susan Green was actually a practitioner. She believed in student involvement and worked behind the scenes, not for public recognition, not for glory, but because she felt it was the right thing to do. She so strongly believed in value that after she passed away, or rather before she passed away, she had told Marty, no exaggerating, literally on her deathbed going, "Marty, you better keep this organization going. This is important. You do it." So I would like to introduce you to Patsy Golden, who is actually the first winner of the Student Green Award back in 2013, where she'd like to say a little bit about Susan, who unfortunately she never had the opportunity to meet, but has learned about Susan and has embodied the qualities. In fact, part of the nomination that we ask for nominations is that, like Susan, seeing the best in other people, reaching out to help others, and being a leader in adult education. So Patsy would like to say a few words about what it's meant to her as a recipient, and also about Susan Green, just so you get a better sense of who Susan was.
When I was nominated for this, I didn't know a thing about it. I thought from my heart I was just giving back what was given to me. The knowledge of learning and helping. They helped me to succeed. I was doing the same thing back. Well, when I won this, it tickled me so good to find out that there was somebody actually in Washington, D.C. that cared enough about us that wanted to help. And actually, she went out of her way that she was not getting paid for to help us. She done things, to my knowledge, that would help value, that was behind the doors to help the admin stuff that needed help done. She even had people that backed her in it. It was a great loss when we lost her with cancer, but people has continued on with her work, thank goodness, because they're still looking out for us.
Before telling you, introducing the recipient of the 2015 award, just a little bit of background about, Susan's background in adult education. Some of the different roles that Susan played was that she worked at the National Institute for Literacy. She worked for the U.S. Department of Education, and she also worked 4 years in the White House as Mrs. Barbara Bush's literacy, as Mrs. Bush called it, her expert. In fact, Mrs. Bush had said that Susan Green was one of my mentors in literacy. She was there with me in the beginning, when few other people really paid any attention to literacy. She was passionate about it, and she would have personally taught every single man, woman, and child in America how to read if she could. She was a dear friend and a warm and loving person. This year's recipient of the Susan Green Memorial Award is Coleman Kuykendall. Esther Villa from Each One Teach One is a literacy instructor who nominated Mr. Kuykendall. There are several of the things that struck her about him was that he was someone who always encouraged others. that if someone needed a ride to get to class in order to get their education, he was willing to put himself out to be able to do that. He would meet with other students to get together at least once a week so they could practice reading together besides meeting for their classes. When he completed level 3 PCI, he was promoted to student leader. She said that he was a great listener and encourager of other students, that he came prepared when he worked with his own student and brought materials that he thought from his own experience that would be helpful. He has the type of personality that knew how to diffuse an uncomfortable situation with his calm words and kindness. He really does sound like someone who has embodied the spirit of who Susan was and how pleased she would be for you to be the 2015 recipient. We got in touch with Mrs. Bush because Mrs. Bush, Barbara Bush, considered Susan as a dear friend and one of her greatest fans. So she sent a letter to us to be read here at this ceremony. She apologizes that she couldn't be here. She's not even in Texas, but she wanted to be here in spirit. Dear friends of literacy, I am honored to send greetings to all of you gathered for the 9th annual VALUEUSA Adult Learner Leadership Institute, and especially to be part of the Susan D. Green Memorial Award. Many of you know that Susan wrote all of my speeches when I was First Lady of the United States. She was a creative and brilliant writer, and she often made me look and sound much smarter than I deserved. My dear friend also was a vocal and passionate advocate for better literacy in our great country. This award, named after her, would thrill and delight Susan as it does me. Susan's work will be remembered forever through the people you honor each year. Which brings me to this year's honoree, Coleman Kuykendall. I love reading your story. Coleman, I love that you not only thought it wasn't too late for you to begin to learn to read, but that you are now helping others do the same. But you might be thinking that just because you're 70 years old, your work here is almost done. Well, I just turned 90 and I'm not ready to give up on making this country more literate. So I am both congratulating you for all you have accomplished and challenging you to work harder. Between the two of us, you'll show the world we are not done yet. Many thanks to all of you for your support and hard work. Have a wonderful evening. Barbara Bush. Coleman, and any guests that you would like to come up with you, we would like to present you with this year's Susan Green Memorial Award. And the local program has taken Mrs. Bush's letter and put it in the frame for you to keep.
Okay, we're coming down to the wire for the fun time. One last thing, on your table, did you see books? Yes. Towson Press donated 3 cases of books for us to give away. There's easy reader books, there's teacher manual books, so there should be enough or one for each person on the table. Now, this is ending, but the night's not over yet. So please, it's our fun time now. It's time to relax and have fun. And again, thank you for coming. All right?